First news topic of the week, and it's actually something that quote unquote dropped news wise after we'd just finished filming The Last of Us. So, not really news as such, but it's certainly intriguing nonetheless. Multiple reports from all manner of sources that Nintendo has actually delayed the successor to the Nintendo Switch, which we shall call Switch 2 for just for convenience, until at least Q1 2025, which came out of nowhere and is a bit of a shock. And John, I'm going to go to you first for your reaction to this. Why do you think this has happened?
Well, I suspect, first of all, it's difficult to call it a delay or not, right? Because it hasn't been officially announced. Based on rumors that had been circulating, it could be considered a delay. But because it's not official, this could
Yes,
just
you can't
be,
delay something that's
right,
never doesn't even exist officially.
precisely. But my take is that Nintendo, there's two. First of all, obviously, I think they're continuing to sell Switches, so why not continue to ride that out? Especially because they actually have a chance at being the highest selling game console of all time. Right now, they are approaching that point, and it might happen. So, but I think what's probably more realistically driving this is that things just aren't ready. I'd imagine. I think Nintendo
Right.
understands more than ever that launching your new platform with absolutely like a killer app is so critical, that I suspect that they want to make sure that when they do launch, they have that stuff ready. They need to have the software ready for day one, and they need to have that first year kind of covered, if you will. And I think they've
Hmm.
been working to that. You can kind of tell with some of their big teams, aside from Zelda, they've been kind of cooking stuff for a while. We
Yeah.
don't know what that would mean. I don't think it would be the biggest app, given that it's not as popular. But I would love to see Metroid Prime 4
I was just about
at
to say that.
launch.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll have a 3D Mario at least at or near launch, kind of like they did with the previous with Odyssey. That seems
Mm-hmm.
feasible. But I mean, fundamentally, it's just clearly more time was required to get the product to market, I think.
Mm. Interesting. Do you think the hardware is ready?
Oh,
I mean,
I
here's the thing, right? We were at Gamescom. We spoke to people that were, well, let's say, connected. And yeah,
yeah,
there was the sense. I mean, the thing that did come out that is now public knowledge is that the Matrix Awakens demo, which everyone was really excited about, it was running on quote unquote target hardware
indeed.
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a finished product. So maybe it is just the case that they need to have more time to get the hardware ready. But with that said, the T239 processor, which is almost certainly at the core of the machine now, it's been ready for like
Yeah,
years
I think
now.
the hardware is quite ready. I think it really is just a lot of the software side of things needing to roll out. Um, and yeah, it's also interesting because this is the first transition for consoles under this new Nintendo leadership, right? Um,
Right.
and I can imagine why they might be nervous to make this transition because the Switch has been so successful, and Nintendo traditionally has, maybe not so much in the handheld space, but in the console space, they've struggled to make those transitions, especially in the more recent years, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they went from the hyper successful Wii to the Wii U, which was a bomb. The GameCube was arguably not a success. N64 even, which behind us there, really compared to Super NES, it was not a success. Uh,
Right. Hmm.
so, I'm, that's all history now. But still, I can imagine they want to approach this cautiously and are probably very nervous about the launch. And beyond that, things like Nintendo being a Japanese company, the yen is extremely weak right now. So I almost wonder, does that have any influence on it? Does that have does
Maybe.
that affect what they want to do? Who can say? But clearly, they're still working towards launch. And
Mm.
if the initial rumors and things we had heard suggested it might show up as of this fall, right? That was the most recent stuff I'd kind of heard, which makes me
Okay.
think this would be like a 5 months delay, if you can
Okay.
consider it a delay at all, but like not a huge amount of time difference.
Yeah, I think there was a projection for the end of this year or Q4 this year, rather, simply because of the trajectory of Switch 1 sales kind of dropping off. But I think there is a decline, but there's no denying that Switch 1 is still like a highly potent force out there. So it's just a fantastic machine, possibly one of their greatest of all times, if you think about it. I'm just kind of curious as to whether you think. I mean, here's the thing, right? we are now aware that developers should have development kits. But I think what's quite remarkable, and it was a similar thing with Switch 1, is that we still don't actually know what the machine is.
Right.
We're kind of surmising that Switch 2 is going to sort of follow on from Switch 1 and, basically offer a power and capabilities upgrade. But we don't really know what that little bit of what quote unquote Miyamoto magic is that sets it apart from from the usual what we know about gaming. There's always some sort of mini twist in there, or hyper twist even. So yeah, curious to see what's going to be happening there. Alex, do you have any thoughts about this?
No, I thought we also haven't seen like a mainline Mario Kart in a while, right? Is that another
Well, a
thing?
very long while.
I mean,
The
the last one was
Switch game
the
is
Switch.
the Wii U.
Well, there was the Wii U game,
Yeah.
which got ported to Switch, and then they've done DLC
Yeah.
packs for it. Which is my
Yeah, they've
prediction
been-
is Switch 2 launch, Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe, all DLC packs plus new DLC packs announced.
Plus even more
DLC.
I don't know. It's maybe
Mario Kart 8
levels. Isn't it
Turbo.
just like different tracks?
That's not my actual
about it?
prediction, but
Yeah, Mario Kart would be interesting, and I think that's a big system seller for sure. Mario Kart is.
yeah,
No, I don't really have much to say about this here. I'd be curious. I'm still very curious about what the twist is. I don't know if Switch 2 just being more powerful is a very interesting sell versus Switch 1. I think Nintendo likes to do things differently with each generation. So I would be curious what the little twist is. I still hope it has the exact same form factor of at least being able to be a home console and being portable, which I don't think they're going to drop.
no way,
So.
they're not going to drop that.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say here.
It's a bit of a definitive statement, really, to do a home console that is also a handheld. I mean, it's not so much a gimmick as opposed to a massive change in overall strategy for the entire company.
Yeah, sure.
We've talked on the Direct before that you can't go back from that. You can't go back to separating out those two devices anymore. In which case, what is the leeway for something that's actually fresh and original? It can't be that much of a revolution in terms of the actual function of the machine, right? So, yeah, I think there's still question marks about the form factor of the machine, bearing in mind the rumours of the 8-inch 1080p LCD, which basically makes it a more chunkier device compared to the standard Switch.
Remember those rumors about the double screens, though? I still say they could pack in a controller that has its own screen in it that you use, so that you always have access to a touchscreen.
Sounds suspiciously Wii U like, though, John.
Yeah, but
We don't want that.
you couldn't take the Wii U out on the road, could you? And look, people love things like that. The PlayStation Portal is selling despite being worse than the Wii U.
This is true. This is so true. Is it really selling?
It is selling.
I have no
People.
idea.
Well, you can't buy them. That's
There are
they're
ardent
out of
defenders
stock.
of the Portal. They're like, it's really good, dude. It's so good. I use it all the time. Like,
Oh my
it's
god, I don't
objectively
know
not
about
good,
that.
but I'm happy that you enjoy it. And I feel elitist when I say
The
that, but
review was good.
it's just objective fact, right? Like, it has issues.
I don't know. I feel like the price is for what you're getting is just.
We'll talk about the Portal later for a specific reason.
Yeah, there has been some what you might call positive developments with PlayStation Portal. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Yeah, not from Sony though.
No.
I mean, no.
I mean, Switch 2, I mean, if it is basically a software issue that they need more games to be ready, then I'm on board with this delay that isn't a delay. And I think that's the biggest challenge, right? If you go back and look at basically the life cycle of the Nintendo Switch, there's just no doubt whatsoever that one of the reasons why it was so successful is that the killer games just kept on coming, right? And one of the reasons those games kept on coming is because they had an entire generation's worth of prior first-party software that didn't sell because the Wii U didn't sell, and they could just bring it across to the Switch. And, those amazing games kept on coming. And that's a little trick that they can't really do twice, right? They've run out of they've run out of Wii U games to bring across to Switch.
No, they haven't,
can't really
Rich.
do-
They still
They got Zombie U, right?
No, that's
not
Ubisoft.
There's a few-
They got the
there's a
Xenoblade
few.
Chronicles X or Cross, whatever you want to call it. They never brought that over. But there's not much more than that. That's not a system seller.
but obviously there, I think, obviously there's got to be a strategy with regards to software availability and to keep the supply of new software coming. I mean, you were talking about launching with a killer app. That's great, but you've got to keep the momentum going in order to secure those further sales.
Yeah.
And I honestly think third party has a huge part to play in that. Actually, thinking about it, while Nintendo can't really bring across anything from anything more from Wii U, certainly the third parties out there have got like a whole generation's worth of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games that could suddenly become viable for handheld play.
Rise, Son of Rome on the
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, I mean Elden Ring, just as off the top of my head, would be like monstrous on a Switch 2, right?
Oh my
I
god!
could see
But
Rockstar finally doing GTA 5 because they just did Red Dead Redemption, right? Now they get the next gen. Like, here's GTA 5 again. Enjoy.
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting them to do GTA on the standard Switch because uh, you know they seem to be laying the groundwork with the likes of LA Noire and whatnot, but somehow it never came
Never
to
happened.
pass.